$160 billion. That's how much money Elon Musk said he saved American taxpayers. He fired 317,000 government workers. He shut down entire federal agencies. He called it the most successful cost-cutting operation in American history. There's just one problem. Government spending went up, not down, up by 6%. And what it actually cost taxpayers? $135 billion. So today, 1 year later, I'm breaking down exactly what happened, where the money went, and why you're probably paying more now than before Doge ever existed. Quick disclaimer, this is educational content, not political commentary. Always do your own research. Let's rewind to February 2025. Elon Musk gets tapped to lead the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Yes, like the meme coin. The pitch was simple. The federal government wastes insane amounts of money, and Musk was going to fix it. He literally showed up holding a chainsaw. Not a metaphor, an actual chainsaw. The message was clear. This wouldn't be careful trimming. This would be aggressive cutting. His target? Save $2 trillion. That's trillion with a T. For context, that's roughly equal to the entire GDP of Italy. He was essentially saying, I'm going to find Italy's worth of waste. And a lot of Americans loved the idea, because nobody likes government waste. If money is being blown on programs that don't work, that frustrates people across the political spectrum. So Doge moved fast. On February 14th, 2025, later nicknamed the Valentine's Day Massacre, thousands of federal workers received termination emails. Some got the email at 2 a.m. Others found out when their keycards stopped working. Teachers, scientists, accountants, IT specialists, analysts. Over the next few months, 317,000 federal employees lost their jobs. That's roughly 9% of the entire federal workforce. Doge launched a public website showing a live savings counter. It ticked upward like a stock market board. $40 billion, $90 billion, $160 billion, then $215 billion. Musk called it historic. But here's the part most people didn't stop to examine. Where were those numbers coming from? Investigative journalists and policy analysts spent months digging into Doge's top 13 publicly claimed savings. All 13 were later described by reviewers as inaccurate or misleading. 13 out of 13. Some savings were double counted. Some were programs already scheduled to expire. Some were contracts that had to be reinstated after services collapsed. Meanwhile, total federal spending in 2025 did not decrease. It increased by approximately 6%. Not primarily because of inflation, not because of a sudden war, not because of an unexpected disaster. Spending simply rose. Several fiscal watchdog groups reported that the cuts had no measurable downward effect on overall federal expenditures. So what happened? Hidden costs. When you terminate federal employees, many are placed on paid administrative leave during appeals. That costs money. When agencies become understaffed and can't function, they rehire contractors. Contractors often charge more. That costs money. When lawsuits follow mass terminations, legal settlements add up. That costs money. When productivity collapses in key departments, contracts get reinstated, often at higher emergency rates. That costs money. Independent estimates put the total additional cost to taxpayers at approximately $135 billion. So let's compare. $160 billion claimed saved. $135 billion in added costs. And that doesn't include longer-term ripple effects. Now imagine this in everyday terms. You hire a contractor to renovate your kitchen. He promises to save you money long term. Instead, he rips out your appliances. Your energy bill increases. You're forced to replace everything. Then he leaves before the project stabilizes. Technically, he cut spending on maintenance, but you ended up paying more. Supporters argue that structural savings take years to appear. That's possible in some reforms. But here's the overlooked reality. Behind every budget line is a person. The IRS lost a significant portion of its technology workforce. Budget analysts estimated that weakened enforcement could result in hundreds of billions in uncollected taxes over the next decade. Uncollected taxes don't disappear. They become deficits or higher burdens elsewhere. The Social Security Administration reached its lowest staffing level in 60 years. It still serves more than 70 million Americans. Phone wait times reportedly exceeded 5 hours. Veteran services faced disruptions. Disaster response coordination slowed in some regions. Food safety inspections were delayed. Ongoing scientific research projects were paused mid-study. Many of the terminated employees were veterans or single parents. 4 months after it began, Musk stepped away from Doge in May 2025. He later described the effort as a little bit successful. He said he would not take on the role again. He returned to running Tesla. The original promise was $2 trillion in savings. The measurable outcome was $135 billion in added taxpayer cost and higher overall federal spending. And then the initiative effectively ended. So why does this matter to you? 3 reasons. First, Taxes. If projected tax revenue falls short because enforcement weakens, the deficit grows. When deficits grow, governments either borrow more or adjust taxes and spending elsewhere. Either way, it affects households. Second, services, Social Security processing, veterans benefits, disaster response, tax refunds. When staffing drops sharply, service quality often follows. That's not theoretical. That's wait times, delays, and interruptions. Third, precedent. Large-scale restructuring without independent verification of savings sets a policy example. Government efficiency absolutely matters. Waste exists, but execution matters just as much as intention. Cutting costs in complex systems requires precision. If cuts trigger downstream expenses that exceed the savings, the strategy fails. The final scoreboard. $160 billion publicly claimed saved. $135 billion in estimated added costs. 317,000 federal jobs eliminated. Overall spending up 6%. That's not a clean success story. It's a case study in how cost cutting can become cost shifting. And the real question isn't whether efficiency matters, it's whether this approach actually delivered it. If this breakdown helped you better understand how large-scale budget decisions affect everyday taxpayers, consider subscribing. I break down complex financial stories into clear numbers, without spin. Leave a comment with what surprised you most. And if you want to know what's coming next, stay tuned. I'll see you in the next one. This is educational content, not financial or political advice.